Good afternoon. I'm delighted to join this symposium, only sorry that I didn't get a trip to Paris. I had my ticket booked last March, but then Flybe went bankrupt and COVID shut the world down. Bob Hill was a dear friend and colleague. I'm delighted to be here to say a few words about the time travel connection between Bob and Edmond Becquerel and a few other comments about the Becquerel Prize. I remember very well when Bob and I were in London for a UK ISIS conference. As was normal practice, we went to the pub straight from the conference. After our first bottle of red wine, Bob started talking very excitedly about Edmond Becquerel and how it's almost 150 years since he discovered the photovoltaic effect. To be very honest, I thought the Becquerel who reported on electricity from solar radiation on gold and platinum electrodes was the same Becquerel who worked on radioactivity and won the Nobel Prize with the Curies. Bob put me right on the history, told me about the family and the three Becquerels, and I got quite interested. I learned something, as I often did, from my dear friend Bob. I'll say a few words about Bob. He was the unquestionable leader of PV in the UK. We worked closely together through UK ISIS, the British PV Association, and on EU and UK contracts. Together, we battled with the establishment to be taken seriously. We shared the same passion for PV in developing countries. There's a nice picture of Bob posing in front of his PV facade. At the formal opening of this facade, it was quite interesting. It went very, very well. The Minister of Energy read out his speech. He sounded like he knew what he was talking about. But then at the end, he folded his speech up and put it away and turned to Bob and then said, yeah, but how much hot water will it actually produce? Ha ha. Bob was the chairman of the 12th European PV conference in Amsterdam in April 1994. At some point, I'm not sure when it was, probably not this picture, but it's close enough. Bob spoke to Wolfgang Pals and said, how about you find a budget and start awarding a prize in memory of Edmond Becquerel? It'll be almost 150 years since his paper on producing electric current from solar radiation. And it worked. Thank you to Wolfgang Pals to start this prize, which was given at the next conference in Freiburg. And I think we probably have already heard about that or will do later. The first prize was given to Roger van Overstraeten. Back to Bob. Bob sadly passed away. I was visiting Bob just shortly before, and then I left for Australia. And a couple of days later, I got an email from his wife, Anna, to say Bob had passed away quietly, aimlessly in his sleep. It was a huge shock. Bob had been a bit ill, but he seemed to be fully recovered. And when I was staying at his house just a couple of weeks before, he was in very good spirits. We were very busy talking about the upcoming next EU PV conference to be in Glasgow. And I was involved in the organization of that. The chairman was Herman Scheer, but I was the vice chairman. Anyway, at Bob's funeral, I made an emotional and passionate speech, and I called upon the university seniors and the vice chancellor to rename that building with the PV facade, the Northumberland building, to rename it the Robert Hill building. Well, that got nowhere. They said, we don't rename buildings, and what the hell's special about this building? And it was quite a painful argument. So we said, well, why don't you put a sign up to say this is the Robert Hill facade? Oh no, we can't do that. That's not right. In the end, we were able to get the university to support a plaque, and you can see it here. And the picture on the left is Bob's first wife with his two children there for the opening plaque. Back to the conference that came in Glasgow and Bob sadly missed. It started on the 1st of May. and it was incredibly bright sun, which is unusual and unexpected. A lot of our colleagues who'd come with their winter clothes were sunburnt within the first couple of days. So some people said it was Bob sending the sunshine down from heaven. Anyway, back to the Becquerel Prize. My friend and colleague, Fred Treble, he won the Becquerel Prize in Glasgow. The vice chairman, which was me, told him that we've made a new rule. From now on, the prize winner, as well as making a speech, must sing a song at the conference banquet. And Fred took me seriously, and he went on and he sang I Belong to Glasgow very nicely at the banquet. At the time Bob died, he was busy working on editing a book along with Mary Archer, Clean Electricity from Photovoltaics. And as you can see here, when this was published in 2001, it was dedicated to the memory of Bob Hill. Going back to a bit of Becquerel now. So the next conference was in Munich when that book was published, and I had the honor to be the chairman. I talked to the prize winner, Professor Andreev, and I said, do you realize you have to sing a song at the banquet? He was very shy, and he thought I was joking, but he was slightly thinking that maybe this is for real. So I had to work on that, and I persuaded previous Becquerel Prize winners to form a choir. So that was the start of the Becquerel choir. Well, I guess that rule has been dropped in the more recent conferences, but it'd be nice if it came back again. To just finalize, I'd like to say one thing I'm sorry is that Bob Hill didn't live long enough to win the Becquerel Prize himself. I hope this little presentation has provided some entertainment. Thank you all very much. Can't do anything. Stop.
Oh, you got here. You stop.